Hey y'all, my name is Christian. I'm a millennial, and this is the Millennial Mind. Millennials get a bad rap for being lazy, non productive members of society. We also get told that our opinions are warped and don't matter. This podcast is designed to express a point of view on the world as a whole, but from a millennial's perspective. I will talk about love, current events, pretty much everything that comes to mind. Come join me on this journey on speaking my mind, and I would love for you to speak your mind as well. This podcast is sponsored by Anchor. Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. It gives you everything you need in one place for free, which you can use right from your phone or computer. Creation tools allow you to record and edit your podcast so it sounds great. They'll distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard everywhere, even on platforms such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can easily make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. Download the Anchor app today or go to anchor.fm to get started. Once again, you can download the Anchor app, that's ANCHOR, or go to anchor.fm to get started. Hey y'all. Welcome to another episode of the Millennial Mind. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to listen to yet another episode of Christian Talking. I really appreciate it, and I do not take it lightly. So I wanted to just get into the episode because I am super excited about the topic today. And I think that pretty much all of social media and everyone were excited too. And that was pertaining to Tyler Perry. Now, if you all don't know about Tyler Perry, you know what? It's pretty hard not to know about Tyler Perry, but just in case someone in the world does not, let me give you a brief background on who Tyler Perry is. So, Tyler Perry, he is 50 years old. He's an African American man who is an actor, writer, producer, director. He does all of the things. He is best known for his Madea plays, in which he plays Madea. That's what he's best known for, dressing up in, I call it like a duster and a wig. And he basically portrays how his aunt and his mom used to act when he was younger. So this is all based off his family. So over the weekend, I'm not sure if you paid attention to social media or not, or just the internet in general. Tyler Perry opened up a new studio in Atlanta, and he named it Tyler Perry Studios. And it was a star-studded event, okay? People who were there was Diddy, Beyonce, Tamela Mann, Mary, Kirk Franklin. Everybody in Black Hollywood was there. It was just so wonderful to see. And even individuals who aren't necessarily African American, but just people who support the cause were there. So Hillary and Bill Clinton, Jeannie Mai from The Real. It was just a star-studded event. Everyone who is a star, pretty much in Black Hollywood for the most part, was there. So this star-studded event was immaculate. I'm not sure if you saw the pictures, but it was just legendary to see, and I'll get into that in a little bit. So this event, it looks like it lasted for a full weekend, and not only did it take guests on a tour of the grounds, but they also had a church service on Sunday, which was out of this world. I've never seen a church service like that before in life from the pictures and the video that I saw. But before I get into that, I just kind of want to dig a little bit more deeper into how Tyler Perry came to the position that he's at now. Just to give a little bit more background as to what he went through. So, when he was a child, he was molested. And I'm not sure if you all remember the episode from Oprah in which he talked about it and had other men there who had also been molested talk about their journey. And not only their journey, but their experience as well. And the whole time, Tyler Perry is just in tears. And I was in tears too, because anytime that you touch a child inappropriate like that and have no remorse, it's disheartening to see, because children, they're innocent. And when you molest a child and take advantage of a child like that, you're basically ripping them from their innocence. But that's a whole nother episode. So he was molested as a child. He had to go through that. Then he was homeless. He was homeless. I believe he lived in his car for maybe a little bit over a year, just struggling to make ends meet. But that never stopped him from trying to fulfill his dreams and trying to make a better life for himself. So he eventually hit it big, primarily with the black community, with his Madea plays and movies. And so examples of like his Madea plays and movies was like The Diary of a Mad Black Woman, Medea's Family Reunion, Madea Goes to Jail. If you have not seen these plays or movies, definitely get your hands on the copy. They're probably on his website somewhere, or you could probably find, especially the movies, you may be able to find them on Netflix. But they are really good, and they give a positive portrayal of the black community. So get your hands on that if you can. What I liked about Tyler Perry with his plays and with his movies, he gave chances to actors and actresses that may not have had a chance in a normal Hollywood setting. So the majority of the people, the men and women that we saw in his plays and movies, were people that I didn't recognize. Sometimes he would have actors and actresses that, we heard of before, like Keisha Knight Pullman or Rick Fox, or I believe he may have had Vivica Fox in one of his movies. Don't quote me on that. I'm just going by memory. But for the most part, a lot of the actresses, is that a word? That is not a word. Oh my God. So please forgive me. Like, I be coming up with words and they're not words. So let's rewind the tape. Okay, so the majority of the actors and actresses were people that I haven't seen before, people I've never heard of before, and they were the main stars. So it gave these actors and actresses who normally would not have been given a chance in Hollywood, it gave them a chance to be in the limelight. And some of these actors and actresses were Tamla and David Mann, for example. Even though Tamla and David, they already, they were kind of already known. Not really, though. Because Tamla and David, if you're familiar with gospel music, like I am, because I'm a church kid, Tamla and David traveled with Kirk Franklin in a group called God's Property. You know, GP, are you with me? So, so they used to sing with Kirk Franklin. So they were a little known, but not as known as when they hooked up with Tyler Perry, I should say. Then there's Crystal Fox, who plays Hannah on The Haves and the Have-Nots. If you haven't seen that, that comes on the OWN network, so the Oprah Winfrey network. And then Tika Sumpter. She plays on The Haves and Have-Nots. I forget the character that she plays, but she's on that show as well. So these names that you normally and have not heard of are now in the spotlight because of Tyler Perry. So I like that he gave people a chance to show their art and perfect their craft. So despite his success with all of these plays and these movies and his business ventures, he still didn't fit in with Hollywood. Hollywood did not understand his African American storytelling, and the critics didn't either. So, with telling stories from an African American perspective can be it can be funny at times, but it can be serious too, because we're talking about a mindset that's been developed over a period of time because of certain things that African Americans went through. The biggest one being slavery. And that mindset and that perception being passed down from generation to generation to generation. So you may think that African Americans, from what Tyler Perry was portraying, you may think that African Americans are being dramatic or, are just being silly. And don't get me wrong, like some of the things that Tyler Perry, put in his movies was dramatic. Of course, that makes a good movie, makes good TV, is drama. But the underlying premises in those plays and movies and TV shows even were real. And a lot of critics who weren't African Americans, and a lot of Hollywood, who was dominated by individuals who are not African Americans, didn't understand it. And of course, you may not if you're not African American. It's like me, saying that, oh yeah, I understood what Jews experienced during the Holocaust when I wasn't a Jew, when I'm not a Jew, and I didn't actually go through the Holocaust. So Hollywood didn't understand it, and they may not have wanted to understand it. So when Tyler Perry would have a new movie or a new TV show come out, the critics would give him low ratings. Thus, even though Hollywood wasn't as understanding of his craft, he decided to open up his own studio. So he was like, okay, bump what Hollywood is saying. I'm going to make my own Hollywood so that, I can have people working around me who really understand what I'm trying to portray to the world. So this studio, let me tell you, first of all, I'm not sure if you saw the pictures on the Facebook page that I posted. By the way, make sure you follow the Millennial Mind on Facebook. Hit the like button. so that you can see these pictures. This studio is huge. Okay, it's approximately 330 acres. I can't even imagine like the like how big that is. Like for 1 acre, that boggles my mind. So with 330 acres, that's a lot for my little mind to take. So apparently, this studio is so big that it can house all of the major studios, so like Warner Brothers, Walt Disney, and Paramount. So Tyler Perry Studios can house all three of those studios and still have like 60 acres left over. I'm like, wait a minute, what? So this is huge. So it's bigger than Walt Disney. It's bigger than Paramount. It's bigger than Warner Brothers. Like, what? It's just amazing. Also, a thing that I discovered with his studios, Tyler Perry owns this studio outright. So, i.e., no debt. Okay? So he paid this bad boy off. He was like, I do not want to have any obligations to anybody so they could tell me what I need to do with my studio. I want to own this outright. So if there is one thing we can learn from Tyler Perry, don't have no debt. Okay? And I know that this costs like millions of dollars. So the fact that he was able and willing to pay this off outright speaks volumes, and it shows that he has good business sense. So within this 330 acres worth of a studio, he named different sound stages after various pioneers in the African American community. So those pioneers being Will Smith, Oprah Winfrey, Sidney Poitier. The only one he was missing was Beyonce, but we'll forgive him for that. Shout out to my Beyonce fans. I'm sure that you all were thinking the same thing. Like, why isn't Beyonce, somewhere commingled into like these sound stages? But Tyler Perry will forgive you for now. Also, what he has in his studio is he has his own White House. Come on now. There is an actual replica of the White House on his studio grounds. Like, what? What? What is going on right now? It was just, this is mind-boggling. So, all of these things going on, he has these sound studios named after famous African American men and women. He has his own White House on the grounds. He owns it outright, no debt. And then having all of these individuals coming from far and wide to come celebrate with him and opening up these studios. It was just amazing to see. Some of the things that I liked about the event was the feeling of black excellence, first of all. Okay? The media, for the most part, portrays African Americans to be, thugs on the street, drug dealers, dangerous. Then that's just for the men. For the women, being low class or no class, popping out babies like rabbits, not successful, not going anywhere in life. But at this event, to see African Americans who were successful and doing something with their lives, that's something that the media doesn't portray. And I wish they would have taken more time to just focus on that, because that alone just kills everything that the media is saying. Like, yes, there are some individuals who are going on the wrong path, but that's in every race. Why don't we focus on the good? one, a black man opening up his own studio. And I think he's like the first African American to do that ever. No, I take that back. No, he's not. There was someone else who did it. I can't think of the name. If you know of this individual's name, let me know. But there was an African American man before Tyler Perry who opened up his own studios. I can't think of the name, but I'm going to do some research and figure it out because I just read about it. But he's one of, I should say, Tyler Perry is one of the first to open up his own studio. Like, what? And then have all of these successful people around him who are African American women, African American men and women, rather. It was just awesome to see. So, also there was a feeling of black unity. I'm going to go back to the media again. A lot of times the media portrays African Americans just going their own separate ways. You know, the only time we'll unite is if something bad happens, like police brutality or some kind of race riot. But no, we can unify within our own community, not only when terrible and awful things happen, but also when good things happen as well. Like the sea of melanin that was at that event was like, ah. It was just wonderful. I was like, I don't think I've ever seen that many black people in the room before, other than the funeral. Like, seriously. Like, I've never seen that many black people in one room before. I was like, I like it, I like it, I like it. And then the last thing that I liked, or one of the last things that I liked, was the Sunday outfits. So, at the church service that Tyler Perry had on Sunday to kind of end the whole event, let me tell you, these people came out in their Sunday's best with their hats. Some people had on gloves and their suits. I'm like, come on now. Come on, Sunday's best. Yes. It was just really nice to see. So if you haven't seen the pictures, just Google them or go on Instagram. Just find somebody who has the pictures, because a lot of people posted about this event. So after all of that, after this whole event, after what Tyler Perry went through in order to get to this place where he could do this event and open up his own studio, the question is, what can we ultimately learn from Tyler Perry? I came up with a few things. One, never give up. You see, Tyler Perry, he was molested, he was homeless, he had criticism from Hollywood, criticism from the Hollywood critics. People probably told him that he couldn't or that he shouldn't, but he kept going. He kept going until he got to the place where he's at today. So never give up, despite the critics, despite people telling you that you can't, despite the criticism that may be within yourself. Because I know that a lot of times we're our worst critics. Hello, somebody. We are our own worst critics. And that's another episode too. But never give up despite the obstacles, despite the criticism that may come your way. Here's another thing that we can learn. Your past can define your present or your future. I would say, you know what, let me rephrase that. Your past can define your present and or your future if you let it. Hello. So, Tyler Perry, with what he went through, being molested, that's a big one. That's a big one, okay? So I know that not only was his body being affected, obviously, from this molestation, but his mindset, of course, was being affected. So, even though he had that terrible experience of being homeless and being molested as a child, he didn't let that mindset carry on into his present or to his future. It seemed like, from what I can remember from Tyler Perry, he always had that bigger picture mindset, that wealthy person mindset. And that shows. That shows in the progress that he's made within his own career and within his own life. So don't let your past affect your present or your future. Leave the past in the past. Whatever you've gone through, we've all had a past. We've all had something that we went through that, kind of affected us in some shape or form. But at some point, we're going to have to take responsibility and say, hey, yes, this happened, but I got to live my life. I got to make progress in my life. So I'm not going to let this experience deter me from doing what I have to do in order to make my life better. So kudos to Tyler Perry for not letting his past affect his present and his future. Another thing that we learned is don't fight your enemies. Let them be your footstool. Now, this is interesting for me, and I think this is my favorite thing that I've learned from Tyler Perry. So, when you get enemies, okay, your first instinct is going to be to defend yourself, and most likely you want to defend yourself aggressively. That's normal. But the best way to combat your enemies is to focus on yourself and to do better. And at some point, you're going to run past them and be looking behind and be like, what enemies? Or like, okay. And let me explain what I mean. So, allegedly, Tyler Perry's studio sits on a former Confederate Army base. And if you're not familiar with the Civil War, there was a Union that was fighting for slaves to be free. And then there was a Confederate Army, mostly in the South, that was trying to hold on to slavery. So this building, this opening of the Tyler Perry Studios has a little bit more meaning, because he built it on the base that the base was filled with people that did not like us or didn't even consider us as human. Okay? I think it was like 3/4. 3/4. We were considered 3/4 of a human. But Tyler Perry built his studio on a base that had people who had slaves that may have been his ancestors. So to build a studio on that kind of history speaks volumes. And that just kicked, his enemies that may have been enemies of his ancestors in the face. I mean, if these ancestors could talk right now, man, like, that is huge. So like what Michelle Obama said, when they go low, we go high. That's the best way to fight your enemies. It's just go higher and higher and higher and higher and higher until you can't see your enemies no more. Or if you can, they're under your feet. So don't fight your enemies. Let them be your footstool. Another thing that we've learned, or that we can learn from Tyler Perry, is to write things down. Write your goals down. Write what you want to do down. You know, it's good that you have your goals and what you want to do like in your brain, embedded in your brain, but writing it down almost makes it like that more official. It makes you accountable to actually do what you stated that you want to do. So Tyler Perry, he wrote his first play at 18 or 19 after hearing Oprah say that it's beneficial to write things down. So Tyler Perry, even though he didn't have a fan base, he didn't have anyone to portray the characters that he was writing about, he still wrote the play out. He still put it in writing, which made it accountable to actually make that play come to life. And I want to say that that's exactly what he did. I want to say that was the first play that he actually brought to life. But just writing things down makes your goals and what you want to do in life that much more, what's the word I'm trying to use, official. So make sure you write things down. Write down your goals. And that's something that I'm going to do. Like, maybe as soon as I finish this episode, it's just write my goals down. Write what I want to do in life down so that I can make myself accountable in fulfilling those dreams. And one of the last things that we can learn from Tyler Perry, if the world doesn't open the door for you, you create your own door and create your own path. Listen, when Tyler Perry received all of that criticism from Hollywood, when Hollywood didn't understand his craft, he was like, okay, you know, you're not giving me a chance, so I'm going to make my own chance. I'm going to create my own door, build my own door, and build my own path. So he was like, Warner Brothers, Disney, Paramount, I don't need you to make my own movies, to make my own TV shows. I'm gonna build my own studio so that I can create this stuff myself. Hello. He was like, forget Hollywood, forget y'all, I'm gonna do my own thing. Kudos to Tyler Perry for that. So that just shows that you don't need people in order to be successful. You can be successful in your own right. And that is amazing. And that if a lot more people would have that mindset, do you understand how much better our world would be? It would be that much better. So Tyler Perry, he has accomplished a lot. He has done a lot. And I am so inspired. It just makes me want to do better. Makes me want to be better. So kudos to Tyler Perry for just doing the darn thing. I know that this has been a long time coming. So I know that the Black community is like super proud of him. I'm proud of him for putting African Americans in a good light, and I look forward to seeing what his future is going to hold. So that's all that I have for you all today. Before I check out, I wanted to give you all a quote, and this comes from Tyler Perry, and this is something that you can kind of marinate on. So Tyler Perry said, "It doesn't matter if 1,000,000 people tell you what you can't do, or if 10 million people tell you no. If you get one yes from God, that's all you need." Amen, Tyler Perry. So thank you again for listening to another episode of the Millennial Mind. Make sure that you go to Facebook, like our page entitled The Millennial Mind. Also, if you have any comments or questions or topic ideas, make sure you email me at themindofmillennials@gmail.com. Also, you can listen to this podcast on Spotify, Anchor, Pocket Cast, and now Apple Podcasts. So, thank you again for listening, and I look forward to hearing from you guys soon, and I will see you all next week.